Hey everyone, Scalene here. Today in this video I'm going to be covering my secrets to shotgun aim and how you can get really good shotgun aim in Fortnite Battle Royale. Pretty simple, let's get into it. It's a highly debated topic, but I would say aim is the most important mechanic in Fortnite, because simply if you cannot hit your opponent, you're not going to kill him, no matter how many times you can piece control him. So that's why I really prioritize my aim, and I've gotten to the point where I would consider my aim to be a pro level. So with that, I'm going to be going over my aim routines, how I practice my aim, how I've perfected my aim, crosshair placement, etc. This is mainly going to go over shotgun stuff, but I can also cover like AR and SMG tracking as well. But yeah, primarily shotgun aim, because that, in my opinion, is the most important in Fortnite, and so that's what I've worked on the most. Starting off with Kovaaks, it is an aim trainer. If you haven't heard of it before, then you're under a rock. So Kovaaks is an aim trainer designed by the person named Kovaak. Currently, it's in its 2.0 stage, and it's actually a really good tool right now. It costs generally $5 to $10 on Steam, and it is a well-worthy investment. The scenarios that I use for Kovaaks are simply pat target shotgun, and with the charge shotgun out, pat target shotgun charge. Those are the two primary ones for crosshair placement, pellet management, and just regular mouse control in general. I like to use Kovaaks to control my mouse control and to train that, and then I will use in-game trainers or just in-game 1v1s to more so perfect like movement-based aim and the things such as that. After training my shotgun aim and pad target and using other scenarios as well, I recommend doing research. I like to do Fortnite gliders. This allows me to train my gliding tracking aim, but in general, just any sort of aim training helps your mouse control, which helps your shotgun aim. So I would really recommend doing it all and not just focusing on just pad target shotgun. My 3 scenarios are not going to be all that you need. I don't use just these 3 scenarios, I use plenty of others. There are thousands of scenarios out there in Kovaaks, so I cannot recommend like any specific ones in general. If you really want, I could probably comment a few if you ask in the comment section down below. But other than that, I would recommend doing your own research, checking out what's best for you, and just kind of what you're feeling that day to train your aim with. Next up on the aim training regimen is going to be 1v1s, whether it's realistics like I'm showing now, or PGs with your friends. I would really recommend doing these for hours if you can, and especially like dedicate an entire day even to just 1v1ing people in creative. I know this sounds counterintuitive because a lot of people say to play arena and stuff, which I do recommend and will get to, but just having a stress-free environment will really help you hone down on the issues in your aim and correct them before you go into a stressed environment. Next up, I think was pretty expected, and that's to play in a high stress environment or even just like a mid-tier stress environment. Things such as arena and even tournaments, depending on how you feel, are really good for this. They really promote healthier adaptation of your aim into regular games and into eventually obviously tournaments. And doing this will help improve immensely because you're getting over the mind barrier of being like nervous and shaky, and you just gotta kind of adapt, otherwise you're just not going to survive. So having a good balance in Kovaaks, 1v1s, and arena will all around help you improve immensely.
Down on one. Nice. Nice. Let's go!
Ethan, you're actually the best.
The freaking go, baby! My next tip here may be a little controversial, and that's why I've kind of whipped up the webcam to kind of get my point across. And that is going to be, I would recommend you play low sense and not high sense. I know we have a lot of Benji Fishy fanboys, a lot of Mr. Savage fanboys, and even Nosh fanboys. Do not play Nosh's sense for the love. And frankly, high sense for the majority of players just doesn't work. People just don't have the average mouse control, nor do they put enough hours into the game to gain the mouse control required to play high sense. And then on top of that, they're playing high sense with an ultralight mouse, which I once again wouldn't recommend. I'd recommend a bit of heavier mouse, maybe like an XM1 or something around that weight, not like a G502. I wouldn't ever recommend a G502. And the reason I'm bringing this across, and I'm not saying to go as low as I am, I'm 800 DPI 5%, but that's because I use a Final Mouse Cape Town. It's the lightest mouse on the market at the moment besides their new wireless one. And frankly, low sense is easier to control, it's easier to adapt, and simply you're just not going to be as shaky on it. A lot of players, especially if you get nervous and you have shaky aim and you're working on it, I would recommend bringing your sense down. So like if you're on 800 DPI, even just like an 8 or a 7 or even like a 6.5 or a 6. I would really recommend giving it a try, a proper try for like a week or so, and you'll notice just major improvements. You don't have to work nearly as hard. You don't have to put like a 10,000 hour rule, if you think about it, into improving your aim. And this way it's a lot easier with a lot less time consuming. And then all you have to simply do is move your arm more to build. It's not that big of a deal, and especially if you're working out like 4 days a week, it makes life a lot easier. So overall, recommend, once again, controversial opinion, this is all up to you, but I would recommend high or low sense. I wouldn't recommend high sense, and it's for obvious reasons. Here I've taken some clips from my stream, just with like a little mouse webcam here, just kind of show how much I move my mouse around when I build. Obviously it's not realistic for some people to do, but for me I really enjoy it because then I'm able to slow down and aim correctly. And then just moving my mouse around as much as I can for building isn't that big of a deal. Would I want a building sensitivity separate? Yeah, I would though. Building on high sense is definitely easier, and I can't deny that, but aiming on high sense is not at all. Now my final point for this video is going to be crosshair placement. You've probably heard this term thrown around a lot, but here I want to go in depth with it and kind of show you in detail what I mean by it. Because crosshair placement basically relies on where you point your crosshair to predict where the enemy's going to be, so you can either land an easier shot or you don't have to flick as hard for a shot. Slowing down this clip though is kind of what I'll show you what I mean. So showing this clip slowed down, I cone off my opponent and I know where he is. Despite the ramp blocking my vision, I still have my crosshair lined up and just can hit him anyways. Here I see him wrapping around through the wood walls. I cone him off simply. I realized he jumped, so I knew where he was going to land, lined it up, and then I knew he was running away. So once again, lined it up and then just took my second shot. Here, I'll show you another clip too. This is a bit more of a strange use, but it definitely helps. See, I don't have a shotgun here, and I see my opponent wrapping around. I jump over the door, and I know where he's going to be, so I line up the headshots. Even if I miss a few shots, I still get majority headshots off, and it's simple just lining it up, and then just following it up with good enough tracking. Overall, guys, that's gonna do it for my guide. Hopefully that helped. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I will respond. And to end the video, my goal is 1,000 subscribers, and so if you want to help, every little bit counts, and just hit that subscribe button. Also feel free to like if you want as well. That does help a lot too. Thank you guys.